All right, we started out by talking about the main goal of marketing, and it's to attract new customers by giving them great value. We want to keep them and then grow them by delivering satisfaction. Quickly, we talked about how it's all around us every single day and that you know more about marketing than you think just because you've grown up with it. Won't touch much more there. We gave you a couple definitions about marketing, and we started out this year with a very casual one up here. Getting people to know, like, and trust you so they buy from you and refer you to their friends. I gave you the American Marketing Association's definition, and then kind of a working one that we're using in class by Professor Kotler, which is marketing is a process where organizations create offerings that have value for customers and build strong customer relationships to earn profits and loyalty. Then we went into a little scenario about marketing and the marketing mix, and I used the paw print in class to help demonstrate the main activities of marketing, and we turned that little demonstration to something that looked like this, where we introduced the 4 Ps: product, pricing, promotion, and place decisions that make up the heart of marketing, and we gave some examples of what each of those main Ps involves underneath each category. So you can see that there. We talked a lot about marketing being a process and how we can think of marketing as homework a company does to figure out what people need to make. And then once they do that, it's marketing's job to launch, price, promote, distribute the products to the marketplace, and then monitor them. So it's much more than just advertising or selling was the key goal there. We introduced the 5-step marketing process. And this is what we're working through in the class. Again, emphasizing the point that marketing isn't just one thing. It starts with understanding customers' needs and wants. That's what we've spent the entire time in class so far. Next up, we're getting into a customer-driven strategy, figuring out how to launch a marketing mix, working on relationships and customer delight. And if we do that all, we'll get profit and customer loyalty. We introduced some of just basic lingo for you. We talked about needs versus wants. Remember, needs are physical or social, something that we have to carry on, versus wants, which are shaped by culture and individual personality. You need food, but you want Chipotle. We introduced some words like what a market is versus market share. Those will both be on the test, especially market share. Remember, we express that as a percentage of the total sales of a market that buys your product. I think I gave you a chart like this. This is for GPS navigations, where you look at who is the leader in this category. You need to make one of these up on your own for the test. It could be any category you want. You could turn it into pizza sales or cell phone sales or Kahana clothing sales with us here and Quick Stitch and maybe someone else on there too. But that is that. Okay, what else here? We talked about some more lingo, marketing offerings, which just simply means some combination of products, services, information, or experiences offered to a market to satisfy a need or want. So products like our iPads, services like Southwest or Heartland Bank, ideas like the Komen Cure, or we talked in class about the American Cancer Society and the Think Pink going on with the NFL, or places that just really sell you the experiences, like an Ohio State game or going down to the Clippers, where it's just as much about the having fun down there as it is who wins or loses the game. We talked about the economic benefits of marketing, all the new product development that comes out of it. We talked about increased competition, which relates in more products being produced and more competition, so sales decrease. That was just a funny little joke there. What else? We talked about the careers, how 1 out of 3 people today work in a marketing-related career being another economic benefit. And we talked about the utilities that go on with marketing. Place utility, which is having a business in a convenient place. We talked about McDonald's and the research they do there. Time utility, convenient time of day. Utility, possession utility, making it easy for you to buy the goods. And form utility, which was taking a raw product and turning it something more useful, like wood into a pencil or yarn into a fancy Snuggie. We talked about how in our economy here in the United States, we're so lucky. I mean, we produce far more than we could ever use in our entire lifetime. The American economy is over $14 trillion. But the important role of marketing is it helps us get the right product at the right place, at the right price, and at the right time. That is marketing's job. World without marketing, won't touch that, but we had some fun talking about some of those things. Satellite image of North Korea versus South Korea. And then today we got into customer relationship levels. We talked about the difference between low margin versus high margin customers and what that means. And low margin simply meant that you think of a company that has many customers and you really are going to have a basic relationship with them. We used Nike as an example, where Nike's probably not calling you up and asking you your opinions and trying to interact with you. They do more brand building activities with their large scale advertising, through their website, through their sponsorships, and some public relations activities. A high margin business, however, would be a company that has very few customers, and in those cases you were looking for full out partnerships with those customers. You're going to know them closely. And I guess you could even take Nike in that regard too, when you look at who is buying the products in a major way, right? Who are their huge customers? It's Dick's, it's Foot Lockers, it's those big retailers. The Nike sales rep knows the Dick's purchasing person very, very well, and the same with Foot Locker. So most companies fall in between those two extremes, from a low margin to a high margin business. We talked about some of the tools now that companies are using to try to get to know their customers better, to deepen a relationship, and very popular with the frequency marketing programs. I use examples of Southwest with their airline miles, or hotels. In class, you threw a bunch of them at me, from American Eagle to Hollister and DSW, I think, that you have experience with as well. A lot of them are point-based anymore. Spend so much and you get points, and you try to use your rewards. Club marketing programs are also popular. I gave you the example in class of the Harley Owners Group from Harley-Davidson, another great brand, where they have a quarterly magazine. They sell these packages to you where you get roadside assistance, vacation bike rental. So if you go to Hawaii and you want to ride your Harley, they can be there for you. Just another way to try to extend the relationship deeper. And then we talked about just how this has changed dramatically over the last 10 years, the nature of businesses wanting to have these relationships with customers. And it used to just be at an arm's distance with the old times meaning just even really a decade ago. You had much more mass marketing, and companies stayed at an arm's length distance. And today, it's changed. Okay, you see more and more deeper relationships that companies want to have with you, more direct and lasting relationships, and oftentimes with fewer customers. Companies are doing customer profitability analysis, where they're doing spreadsheets. They know who their best customers are and who their worst customers are. And we talked about how they're pampering and giving rewards to those best customers, and they're trying to get rid of the bad ones. Best Buy, when we talked about the case study where we looked at angels and demons and how they're actually firing some customers or turning them away, or maybe trying to develop new programs to turn those bad customers into more profitable ones. We talked about Sprint, how they fired over 1,000 customers because they found out that some of these people were just calling hundreds of times a month to complain about customer service issues or their monthly billing, and they just could not resolve these. So they encouraged them to go elsewhere. And Progressive and American Express had situations there too that were similar to that, with closing accounts or suggesting they move on. So we also talked about then, again, with the changing form of relationships, how these new two-way customer relationships are the norm now, especially with some of the bigger companies, I guess. We looked at Starbucks in class, Starbucks.com, all the different tools that they're using to try to connect with customers. And a lot of it's through social media today. All right, it started out with email, but Starbucks is a leader with their blogs, Facebook, Twitters, trying to give customers a voice in things with their new product development. So remember Starbucks when it comes to that case. Then we also talked about the topic of consumer-generated marketing, which is getting customers or your target audience to help shape your brands and the brand message. So we're talking about developing new products, and the brand messaging, we're talking about the advertising. And in class, we pulled up Doritos as a good example of this with their whole crash, the Super Bowl ads, where they're getting consumers to develop their own ads. Doritos team will pick the best among the best winners, and then they're going to air it during the Super Bowl this year. Again, it's gotten a lot of publicity through for Doritos and the brand. It's really given them much more followers on the social landscape and been a big win-win for them. Okay, so remember those two. We talked about all of this. The goal is customer loyalty. That is the holy grail in marketing. Okay, it's trying to get customers to only have eyes for your business. So if you want to buy a new computer in your Apple, you don't want them to think about Dell for a minute, and it's really important. We talked how it's 7 times cheaper to keep an existing customer than it is to acquire a new customer. It's really expensive to do all that type of marketing and direct mail to get people to hear about you and to try you, to get that trust built. So it's always better if you can get those existing ones happy and get them to buy more. And that leads into the topic of customer lifetime value, which is trying to quantify the total value of the entire stream of purchases a customer would make over a lifetime. AT&T, think about it now. I mean, my bill's over $100 a month, and I'm paying that for obviously 12 months a year. That's $1,200. You know, if I'm around another 20 years or so, plus you throw in some, a few $100 purchase of a new phone, I'm easily worth $20,000 to $30,000 to AT&T. As a teenager, you're worth even more to them. A Giant Eagle or any type of grocery store, maybe where your parents go. For a lot of people with families, that's easily over $100 a month. I mean, $100 a week, $400 a month. Keep doing the math there. And it makes it very easy to see the importance of keeping those customers happy to keep coming back. Lexus estimates that the customer value for a customer is over $600,000 through their lifetime. Okay, and again, that's assuming you keep them happy. You get them back to buy your brand again, 4 or 5 cars throughout their lifetime, plus service and things like that. So these are the new concepts of customer loyalty that I want you to know, okay? And then please remember some of the case studies and the companies that we studied in class, from the Ritz-Carlton to how they closely try to monitor and take detailed notes about their customers and their preferences so they can exceed your expectations the next visit, whether it's having that picture of a pet or just knowing if you're allergic to any food things or how you like the pillows, things like that. Zappos, we talked about how they have an extreme commitment to customer service. Their whole tagline is built on service, whether it's their free shipping both ways or their $365 returns or offering, trying to bribe new employees to quit. And then In-N-Out Burger, which we hope to go to this year, they're focused on training, a small menu, paying their employees well and treating them well, makes them, it's worked very well for them in terms of customer service and being a leader in that regard.